Ready to uncover a treasure trove of wisdom? Let's explore the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. The Sunnah encompasses the teachings and practices of Prophet Muhammad. Volume 4, Book 56, number 659, narrated by Rabi bin Hirash. Uqba bin Amr said to Hudayfa, "Won't you relate to us of what you have heard from Allah's apostle?" He said, "I heard him saying, when Al-Dajjal appears, he will have fire and water along with him. What the people will consider as cold water will be fire that will burn things. So if any one of you comes across this, he should fall in the thing which will appear to him as fire, for in reality it will be fresh cold water." Hudayfa added, "I also heard him saying, from among the people preceding your generation, there was a man whom the angel of death visited to capture his soul. So his soul was captured, and he was asked if he had done any good deed. He replied, I don't remember any good deed. He was asked to think it over. He said, I do not remember, except that I used to trade with the people in the world, and I used to give a respite to the rich and forgive the poor, among my debtors. So Allah made him enter paradise." Hudayfa further said, "I also heard him saying, once there was a man on his deathbed who, losing every hope of surviving, said to his family, when I die, gather for me a large heap of wood and make a fire to burn me. When the fire eats my meat and reaches my bones, and when the bones burn, take and crush them into powder and wait for a windy day to throw it, that is the powder, over the sea." They did so, but Allah collected his particles and asked him, "Why did you do so?" He replied, "For fear of you." So Allah forgave him. Uqba bin Amr said, "I heard him saying that the Israeli used to dig the grave of the dead to steal their shrouds." Volume 4, Book 56, number 660, narrated by Aisha and Ibn Abbas. On his deathbed, Allah's apostle put a sheet over his face, and when he felt hot, he would remove it from his face. When in that state, of putting and removing the sheet, he said, "May Allah's curse be on the Jews and the Christians, for they build places of worship at the graves of their prophets." By that, he intended to warn, the Muslim, from what they, that is Jews and Christians, had done. Volume 4, Book 56, number 661, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, the Israelis used to be ruled and guided by prophets. Whenever a prophet died, another would take over his place. There will be no prophet after me, but there will be caliphs, who will increase in number. The people asked, "O Allah's apostle, what do you order us to do?" He said, "Obey the one who will be given the pledge of allegiance first. Fulfill their, that is the caliph's, rights, for Allah will ask them about any shortcoming in ruling those Allah has put under their guardianship." Volume 4, Book 56, number 662, narrated by Abu Sa'id. The Prophet said, "You will follow the wrong ways of your predecessors so completely and literally, that if they should go into the hole of a mastigur, you too will go there." We said, "O Allah's apostle, do you mean the Jews and the Christians?" He replied, "Whom else?" Meaning, of course, the Jews and the Christians. Volume 4, Book 56, number 663, narrated by Anas. The people mentioned the fire and the bell, as means proposed for announcing the time of prayer, and by such a suggestion they referred to the Jews and the Christians. But Bilal was ordered, pronounce the words of the Adhan, that is call for the prayer, twice, and the Iqama once only. Volume 4, Book 56, number 664, narrated by Aisha, that she used to hate that one should keep his hands on his flanks while praying. She said that the Jew used to do so. Volume 4, Book 56, number 665, narrated by Ibn Umar, Allah's apostle said, "Your period, that is the Muslims' period, in comparison to the periods of the previous nations, is like the period between the Asr prayer and sunset, and your example in comparison to the Jews and the Christians is like the example of a person who employed some laborers and asked them, 'Who will work for me till midday for 1 kirat each?' The Jews worked for half a day for 1 kirat each. The person asked, 'Who will do the work for me from midday to the time of the Asr prayer for 1 kirat each?' The Christians worked from midday till the Asr prayer for 1 kirat. Then the person asked, 'Who will do the work for me from the Asr till sunset for 2 kirats each?' The Prophet added, 'It is you, that is Muslims, who are doing the work from the Asr till sunset, so you will have a double reward.' The Jews and the Christians got angry and said, 'We have done more work but got less wages.' Allah said, 'Have I been unjust to you as regards your rights?' They said no. So Allah said, 'Then it is my blessing which I bestow on whomever I like.' Volume 4, Book 56, number 666, narrated by Ibn Abbas. I heard Umar saying, 'May Allah curse so-and-so.' Doesn't he know that the Prophet said, 'May Allah curse the Jews, for though they were forbidden to eat fat, they liquefied it and sold it.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 667, narrated by Abdullah bin Amr. The Prophet said, "Convey my teachings to the people even if it were a single sentence, and tell others the stories of Bani Israel, which have been taught to you, for it is not sinful to do so, and whoever tells a lie on me intentionally will surely take his place in the hell fire." Volume 4, Book 56, number 668, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, "The Jews and the Christians do not dye their gray hair, so you shall do the opposite of what they do, that is dye your gray hair and beards." Volume 4, Book 56, number 669. Narrated by Jundub. Allah's apostle said, "Amongst the nations before you there was a man who got a wound, and growing impatient with its pain, he took a knife and cut his hand with it, and the blood did not stop till he died. Allah said, 'My slave hurried to bring death upon himself, so I have forbidden him to enter paradise.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 670, narrated by Abu Huraira, that he heard Allah's apostle saying, Allah willed to test 3 Israelis who were a leper, a blind man, and a bald-headed man. So he sent them an angel who came to the leper and said, "What thing do you like most?" He replied, "Good color and good skin, for the people have a strong aversion to me." The angel touched him and his illness was cured, and he was given a good color and beautiful skin. The angel asked him, "What kind of property do you like best?" He replied, "Camels, or cows." The narrator is in doubt, for either the leper or the bald-headed man demanded camels and the other demanded cows. So he, that is the leper, was given a pregnant she-camel, and the angel said to him, "May Allah bless you in it." The angel then went to the bald-headed man and said, "What thing do you like most?" He said, "I like good hair and wish to be cured of this disease, for the people feel repulsion for me." The angel touched him and his illness was cured, and he was given good hair. The angel asked him, "What kind of property do you like best?" He replied, "Cows." The angel gave him a pregnant cow and said, "May Allah bless you in it." The angel went to the blind man and asked, "What thing do you like best?" He said, "I like that Allah may restore my eyesight to me, so that I may see the people." The angel touched his eyes and Allah gave him back his eyesight. The angel asked him, "What kind of property do you like best?" He replied, "Sheep." The angel gave him a pregnant sheep. Afterwards, all the 3 pregnant animals gave birth to young ones, and multiplied and brought forth so much, that one of the 3 men had a herd of camels filling a valley, and one had a herd of cows filling a valley, and one had a flock of sheep filling a valley. Then the angel, disguised in the shape and appearance of a leper, went to the leper and said, "I am a poor man, who has lost all means of livelihood while on a journey. So none will satisfy my need except Allah, and then you. In the name of him who has given you such nice color and beautiful skin, and so much property, I ask you to give me a camel so that I may reach my destination." The man replied, "I have many obligations, so I cannot give you." The angel said, "I think I know you. Were you not a leper to whom the people had a strong aversion? Weren't you a poor man and then Allah gave you all this property?" He replied, "This is all wrong. I got this property through inheritance from my forefathers." The angel said, "If you are telling a lie, then let Allah make you as you were before." Then the angel, disguised in the shape and appearance of a bald man, went to the bald man and said to him the same as he told the first one, and he too answered the same as the first one did. The angel said, "If you are telling a lie, then let Allah make you as you were before." The angel, disguised in the shape of a blind man, went to the blind man and said, "I am a poor man and a traveler, whose means of livelihood have been exhausted while on a journey. I have nobody to help me except Allah, and after him, you yourself. I ask you in the name of him who has given you back your eyesight to give me a sheep, so that with its help I may complete my journey." The man said, "No doubt I was blind and Allah gave me back my eyesight. I was poor and Allah made me rich. So take anything you wish from my property. By Allah, I will not stop you for taking anything you need of my property, which you may take for Allah's sake." The angel replied, "Keep your property with you. You, i.e. 3 men, have been tested, and Allah is pleased with you and is angry with your 2 companions. Eased with you and is angry with your 2 companions. Volume 4, Book 56, number 671. Narrated by Ibn Umar. Allah's apostle said, "Once 3 persons from the previous nations were traveling, and suddenly it started raining and they took shelter in a cave. The entrance of the cave got closed while they were inside. They said to each other, 'O you, nothing can save you except the truth, so each of you should ask Allah's help by referring to such a deed as he thinks he did sincerely, that is just for gaining Allah's pleasure.' So one of them said, 'O Allah, you know that I had a laborer who worked for me for 1 farak, that is 3 sas of rice, but he departed, leaving it, that is his wages. I sowed that farak of rice, and with its yield I bought cows for him. Later on when he came to me asking for his wages, I said to him, "Go to those cows and drive them away." He said to me, "But you have to pay me only a farak of rice." I said to him, "Go to those cows and take them, for they are the product of that farak of rice." So he drove them. "O Allah, if you consider that I did that for fear of you, then please remove the rock." The rock shifted a bit from the mouth of the cave. The second one said, "O Allah, you know that I had old parents whom I used to provide with the milk of my sheep every night. One night I was delayed, and when I came they had slept while my wife and children were crying with hunger. I used not to let them, that is my family, drink, unless my parents had drunk first. So I disliked to wake them up, and also disliked that they should sleep without drinking it. I kept on waiting for them to wake, till it dawned. "O Allah, if you consider that I did that for fear of you, then please remove the rock." So the rock shifted, and they could see the sky through it. The third one said, "O Allah, you know that I had a cousin, that is my paternal uncle's daughter, who was most beloved to me, and I sought to seduce her but she refused unless I paid her 100 dinars, that is gold pieces. So I collected the amount and brought it to her, and she allowed me to sleep with her. But when I sat between her legs she said, 'Be afraid of Allah and do not deflower me but legally.' I got up and left the 100 dinars for her. O Allah, if you consider that I did that for fear of you, then please remove the rock." So Allah saved them and they came out of the cave. This hadith indicates that one can only ask Allah for help directly, or through his performed good deeds. But to ask Allah through dead or absent prophets, saints, spirits, holy men, angels, etc., is absolutely forbidden in Islam, and it is a kind of disbelief. Volume 4, Book 56, number 672, narrated by Abu Huraira. That he heard Allah's apostle saying, while a lady was nursing her child, a rider passed by and she said, "O Allah, don't let my child die till he becomes like this, rider." The child said, "O Allah, don't make me like him," and then returned to her breast, sucking it. After a while they passed by a lady who was being pulled and teased by the people. The child's mother said, "O Allah, do not make my child like her." The child said, "O Allah, make me like her." Then he said, "As for the rider, he is an infidel," while the lady is accused of illegal sexual intercourse, falsely, and she says, "Allah is sufficient for me, he knows the truth." Volume 4, Book 56, number 673, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, while a dog was going round a well and was about to die of thirst, an Israeli prostitute saw it and took off her shoe and watered it. So Allah forgave her, because of that good deed. Volume 4, Book 56, number 674, narrated by Humayd bin Abdur Rahman. That he heard Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan talking on the pulpit in the year when he performed the Hajj. He took a tuft of hair that was in the hand of an orderly and said, "O people of Medina, where are your learned men? I heard the Prophet forbidding such a thing as this, that is false hair." And he used to say, the Israelis were destroyed when their ladies practiced this habit of using false hair to lengthen their locks. Volume 4, Book 56, number 675, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, amongst the people preceding you there used to be muhadithun, that is persons who can guess things that come true later on, as if those persons have been inspired by a divine power. And if there are any such persons amongst my followers, it is Umar bin al-Khattab. Volume 4, Book 56, number 676, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet said, amongst the men of Bani Israel there was a man who had murdered 99 persons. Then he set out asking whether his repentance could be accepted or not. He came upon a monk and asked him if his repentance could be accepted. The monk replied in the negative, and so the man killed him. He kept on asking till a man advised to go to such and such village, so he left for it. But death overtook him on the way. While dying he turned his chest towards that village, where he had hoped his repentance would be accepted. And so the angels of mercy and the angels of punishment quarreled amongst themselves regarding him. Allah ordered the village towards which he was going to come closer to him, and ordered the village whence he had come to go far away. And then he ordered the angels to measure the distances between his body and the two villages, so he was found to be one span closer to the village he was going to, so he was forgiven. Volume 4, Book 56, number 677, narrated by Abu Huraira. Once Allah's apostle offered the morning prayer and then faced the people and said, while a man was driving a cow he suddenly rode over it and beat it. The cow said, we have not been created for this, but we have been created for sloughing. On that the people said astonishingly, glorified be Allah, a cow speaks. The Prophet said, I believe this, and Abu Bakr and Umar too believe it, although neither of them was present there. While a person was amongst his sheep, a wolf attacked and took one of the sheep. The man chased the wolf till he saved it from the wolf, whereupon the wolf said, you have saved it from me. But who will guard it on the day of the wild beasts when there will be no shepherd to guard them except me, because of riots and afflictions? The people said surprisingly, glorified be Allah, a wolf speaks. The Prophet said, but I believe this, and Abu Bakr and Umar too believe this, although neither of them was present there. See the footnote of page 10 vol 5, volume 4, book 56 number 678, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, a man bought a piece of and from another man, and the buyer found an earthenware jar filled with gold in the land. The buyer said to the seller, take your gold, as I have bought only the land from you, but I have not bought the gold from you. The former owner of the land said, I have sold you the land with everything in it. So both of them took their case before a man who asked, "Do you have children?" One of them said, "I have a boy." The other said, "I have a girl." The man said, "Marry the girl to the boy and spend the money on both of them and give the rest of it in charity." Volume 4, Book 56, number 679, narrated by Usama bin Zaid. Allah's apostle said, plague was a means of torture sent on a group of Israelis, or on some people before you. So if you hear of it spread in a land, don't approach it. And if a plague should appear in a land where you are present, then don't leave that land in order to run away from it. That is plague. Volume 4, Book 56, number 680, narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. I asked Allah's apostle about the plague. He told me that it was a punishment sent by Allah on whom he wished, and Allah made it a source of mercy for the believers. For if one in the time of an epidemic plague stays in his country patiently hoping for Allah's reward and believing that nothing will befall him except what Allah has written for him, he will get the reward of a martyr. Volume 4, Book 56, number 681, narrated by Aisha. The people of Quraysh worried about the lady from Bani Makhzum who had committed theft. They asked, "Who will intercede for her with Allah's apostle?" Some said, "No one dare to do so except Usama bin Zaid, the beloved one to Allah's apostle." When Usama spoke about that to Allah's apostle said to him, "Do you try to intercede for somebody in a case connected with Allah's prescribed punishments?" Then he got up and delivered a sermon saying, "What destroyed the nations preceding you was that if a noble amongst them stole, they would forgive him, and if a poor person amongst them stole, they would inflict Allah's legal punishment on him. By Allah, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, stole, I would cut off her hand." Volume 4, Book 56, number 682, narrated by Ibn Masud. I heard a person reciting a Quranic verse in a certain way, and I had heard the Prophet reciting the same verse in a different way. So I took him to the Prophet and informed him of that, but I noticed the sign of disapproval on his face, and then he said, "Both of you are correct, so don't differ, for the nations before you differed, so they were destroyed." Volume 4, Book 56, number 683. Narrated by Abdullah. As if I saw the Prophet talking about one of the prophets whose nation had beaten him and caused him to bleed, while he was cleaning the blood off his face and saying, "O Allah, forgive my nation for they have no knowledge." Volume 4, Book 56, number 684, narrated by Abu Sa'id. The Prophet said, "Amongst the people preceding your age there was a man whom Allah had given a lot of money. While he was in his deathbed he called his sons and said, 'What type of father have I been to you?' They replied, 'You have been a good father.' He said, 'I have never done a single good deed, so when I die, burn me, crush my body, and scatter the resulting ashes on a windy day.' His sons did accordingly, but Allah gathered his particles and asked him, 'What made you do so?' He replied, 'Fear of you.' So Allah bestowed his mercy upon him, forgave him." Volume 4, Book 56, number 685, narrated by Ribi bin Hirash. Uqba said to Hudhaifa, "Won't you narrate to us what you heard from Allah's apostle?" Hudhaifa said, "I heard him saying, death approached a man, and when he had no hope of surviving, he said to his family, 'When I die, gather for me much wood, and build a fire, to burn me. When the fire has eaten my flesh and reached my bones, take the bones and grind them and scatter the resulting powder in the sea on a hot or windy day.' That was done. But Allah collected his particles and asked him, 'Why did you do so?' He replied, 'For fear of you.' So Allah forgave him. Volume 4, Book 56, number 686, narrated by Abdu Malik, as above, saying, 'On a windy day.' Volume 4, Book 56, number 687, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, "A man used to give loans to the people and used to say to his servant, 'If the debtor is poor, forgive him so that Allah may forgive us.' So when he met Allah after his death, Allah forgave him." Volume 4, Book 56, number 688, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "A man used to do sinful deeds, and when death came to him he said to his sons, 'After my death burn me and then crush me and scatter the powder in the air, for by Allah, if Allah has control over me, he will give me such a punishment as he has never given to anyone else.' When he died, his sons did accordingly. Allah ordered the earth saying, 'Collect what you hold of his particles.' It did so, and behold, there he was, the man standing. Allah asked him, 'What made you do what you did?' He replied, 'O my Lord, I was afraid of you.' So Allah forgave him." Another narrator said, "The man said, 'Fear of you, O Lord.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 689, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's apostle said, "A lady was punished because of a cat which she had imprisoned till it died. She entered the hell fire because of it, for she neither gave it food nor water as she had imprisoned it, nor set it free to eat from the vermin of the earth." Volume 4, Book 56, number 690, narrated by Abu Masud Uqba. The Prophet said, "One of the sayings of the prophets which the people have got is, 'If you do not feel ashamed, then do whatever you like.'" Volume 4, Book 56, number 691, narrated by Abu Mus'ud. The Prophet said, "One of the sayings of the prophets which the people have got is, if you do not feel ashamed, then do whatever you like." Volume 4, Book 56, number 692, narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, "While a man was walking, dragging his dress with pride, he was caused to be swallowed by the earth and will go on sinking in it till the day of resurrection." Volume 4, Book 56, number 693, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "We are the last to come, but we will be the foremost on the day of resurrection. Nations were given the book, that is Scripture, before us, and we were given the holy book after them. This, that is Friday, is the day about which they differed. So the next day, that is Saturday, was prescribed for the Jews, and the day after it, that is Sunday, for the Christians. It is incumbent on every Muslim to wash his head and body on a day, that is Friday, at least, in every 7 days." Volume 4, Book 56, number 694, narrated by Sayyid bin al-Musayyab. When Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan came to Medina for the last time, he delivered a sermon before us. He took out a tuft of hair and said, "I never thought that someone other than the Jews would do such a thing, that is use false hair." The Prophet named such a practice, az-zur, that is falsehood, meaning the use of false hair. Volume 4, Book 56, number 695, narrated by Ibn Abbas, regarding the verse, "And we made you into Shu'ub and Qabail," 49.13, that Shu'ub means the big Qabail, that is nations, while the Qabail, that is tribes, means the branch tribes. Volume 4, Book 56, number 696, narrated by Abu Huraira. Once Allah's apostle was asked, "Who is the most honorable amongst the people?" He said, "The most righteous, that is Allah-fearing amongst you." They said, "We do not ask you about this." He said, "Then Joseph, the prophet of Allah." Volume 4, Book 56, number 697, narrated by Kulayb bin Wale. I asked Zainab bint Abi Salama, that is daughter of the wife of the Prophet, "Tell me about the Prophet. Did he belong to the tribe of Mudar?" She replied, "Yes, he belonged to the tribe of Mudar and was from the offspring of An-Nadr bin Kinana." Volume 4, Book 56, number 698, narrated by Kulayb. I was told by the Rabiba, daughter of the wife of the Prophet, who I think was Zainab, that the Prophet forbade the utensils of wine called ad-duba, al-hantam, al-mukayyar, and al-muzaffat. I said to her, "Tell me as to which tribe the Prophet belonged. Was he from the tribe of Mudar?" She replied, "He belonged to the tribe of Mudar and was from the offspring of An-Nadr bin Kinana." Volume 4, Book 56, number 699, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, "You see that the people are of different natures. Those who were the best in the pre-Islamic period are also the best in Islam if they comprehend religious knowledge. You see that the best amongst the people in this respect, that is ambition of ruling, are those who hate it most. And you see that the worst among people is the double-faced person, who appears to these with one face and to the others with another face, i.e. a hypocrite." Volume 4, Book 56, number 700, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "The tribe of Quraysh has precedence over the people in this connection, i.e. the right of ruling. The Muslims follow the Muslims amongst them, and the infidels follow the infidels amongst them. People are of different natures. The best amongst them in the pre-Islamic period are the best in Islam provided they comprehend the religious knowledge. You will find that the best amongst the people in this respect, that is of ruling, is he who hates it, that is the idea of ruling, most, till he is given the pledge of allegiance." Volume 4, Book 56, number 701, narrated by Tawus ibn Abbas recited the Quranic verse, "Except to be kind to me for my kinship to you," 42.23. Said bin Jubair said, the verse implies, the kinship of Muhammad. Ibn Abbas said, there was not a single house, that is sub-tribe of Quraysh, but had a kinship to the Prophet, and so the above verse was revealed in this connection, and its interpretation is, "O Quraysh, you should keep good relation between me, that is Muhammad, and you." Volume 4, Book 56, number 702, narrated by Abi Masud. The Prophet said, "From this side from the east afflictions will appear. Rudeness and lack of mercy are characteristics of the rural Bedouins who are busy with their camels and cows, and pay no attention to religion. Such are the tribes of Rabia and Mudar." Volume 4, Book 56, number 703, narrated by Abu Huraira. I heard Allah's apostle saying, "Pride and arrogance are characteristics of the rural Bedouins, while calmness is found among the owners of sheep. Belief is Yemenite, and wisdom is also Yemenite, that is, the Yemenites are well known for their true belief and wisdom." Abu Abdullah al-Bukhari said, Yemen was called so because it is situated to the right of the Kaaba, and Sham was called so because it is situated to the left of the Kaaba. Volume 4, Book 56, number 704, narrated by Muhammad bin Jubair bin Mut'im, that while he was with a delegation from Quraysh to Muawiyah, the latter heard the news that Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As said that there would be a king from the tribe of Qatan. On that Muawiyah became angry, got up and then praised Allah as he deserved and said, "Now then, I have heard that some men amongst you narrate things which are neither in the holy book, nor have been told by Allah's apostle. Those men are the ignorant amongst you. Beware of such hopes as make the people go astray, for I heard Allah's apostle saying, authority of ruling will remain with Quraysh, and whoever bears hostility to them, Allah will destroy him as long as they abide by the laws of the religion." Volume 4, Book 56, number 705, narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, authority of ruling will remain with Quraysh, even if only 2 of them remained, narrated by Jubair bin Mut'im. Uthman bin Affan went to the Prophet and said, O Allah's apostle, you gave property to Bani al-Muttalib and did not give us, although we and they are of the same degree of relationship to you. The Prophet said, only Bani Hashim and Bani al-Muttalib are one thing, as regards family status. Narrated Urwa bin Az-Zubair. Abdullah bin Az-Zubair went with some women of the tribe of Bani Zura to Aisha, who used to treat them nicely because of their relation to Allah's apostle. Volume 4, Book 56, number 707, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, the tribe of Quraysh, the Ansar, the people of the tribe of Julhaina, Muzaina, Aslam, Ashya and Gifar, are my disciples and have no protectors except Allah and His apostle. Volume 4, Book 56, number 708, narrated by Urwa bin Az-Zubair. Abdullah bin Az-Zubair was the most beloved person to Aisha excluding the Prophet and Abu Bakr, and he, in his turn, was the most devoted to her. Aisha used not to withhold the money given to her by Allah, but she used to spend it in charity. Abdullah bin Az-Zubair said, Aisha should be stopped from doing so. When Aisha heard this, she said protestingly, shall I be stopped from doing so? I vow that I will never talk to Abdullah bin Az-Zubair. On that, Ibn Az-Zubair asked some people from Quraysh and particularly the 2 uncles of Allah's apostle to intercede with her, but she refused to talk to him. Az-Zuriyun, the uncles of the Prophet, including Abdurrahman bin al-Aswad bin Abd Yaguth and al-Miswar bin Makrama said to him, when we ask for the permission to visit her, enter her house along with us without taking her leave. He did accordingly, and she accepted their intercession. He sent her 10 slaves whom she manumitted as an expiation for not keeping her vow. Aisha manumitted more slaves for the same purpose till she manumitted 40 slaves. She said, I wish I had specified what I would have done in case of not fulfilling my vow when I made the vow, so that I might have done it easily. Volume 4, Book 56, number 709, narrated by Anas Uthman called Zayd bin Thabit, Abdullah bin Az-Zubair, Sa'd bin al-As, and Abdurrahman bin al-Harith bin Hisham, and then they wrote the manuscripts of the Holy Quran in the form of book in several copies. Uthman said to the 3 Qurayshi persons, if you differ with Zayd bin Thabit on any point of the Quran, then write it in the language of Quraysh, as the Quran was revealed in their language. So they acted accordingly. Said bin Thabit was an Ansari and not from Quraysh. Volume 4, Book 56, number 710, narrated by Salama Allah's apostle passed by some people from the tribe of Islam practicing archery. He said, O children of Ishmael, throw arrows, for your father was an archer. I am on the side of Bani so-and-so, meaning one of the 2 teams. The other team stopped throwing, whereupon the Prophet said, what has happened to them? They replied, how shall we throw while you are with Bani so-and-so? He said, throw for I am with all of you. Volume 4, Book 56, number 711, narrated by Abu Dar. The Prophet said, if somebody claims to be the son of any other than his real father knowingly, he but disbelieves in Allah, and if somebody claims to belong to some folk to whom he does not belong, let such a person take his place in the hell fire. Volume 4, Book 56, number 712, narrated by Wathila bin al-Aska. Allah's apostle said, verily, one of the worst lies is to claim falsely to be the son of someone other than one's real father, or to claim to have had a dream one has not had, or to attribute to me what I have not said. Volume 4, Book 56, number 713, narrated by Ibn Abbas. The delegates of Abdul Qais came to Allah's apostle and said, O Allah's apostle, we are from the tribe of Rabia, and the infidels of Mudar tribe stand between us and you, so that we cannot come to you except in the sacred months. Therefore, we would like you to give us some instructions which we may follow and convey to our people staying behind us. The Prophet said, I order you to observe 4 things and forbid you to do 4 things. I order you to believe in Allah, testifying that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, to offer the prayer perfectly, to pay the zakat, and to give 1/5 of the war booty to Allah. And I forbid you to use ad-duba, al-hantam, an-nakir, and al-muzaffat. These are names of utensils in which alcoholic drinks were served. Volume 4, Book 56, number 714, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. I heard Allah's apostle on the pulpit saying, "Verily afflictions will start from here," pointing towards the east, whence the side of the head of Satan comes out. Volume 4, Book 56, number 715, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "The tribes of Quraysh, Al-Ansar, Juhayna, Muzayna, Aslam, Gifar and Ashya are my helpers and they have no protector, that is master, except Allah and his apostle." Volume 4, Book 56, number 716, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. While Allah's apostle was on the pulpit he said, "May Allah give the tribe of Gifar, and may Allah save the tribe of Aslam, the tribe of Usayya have disobeyed Allah and his apostle." Volume 4, Book 56, number 717, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "May Allah save the tribe of Aslam, and may Allah forgive the tribe of Gifar." Volume 4, Book 56, number 718, narrated by Abu Bakr. The Prophet said, "Do you think that the tribes of Juhayna, Muzayna, Aslam and Gifar are better than the tribes of Bani Tamim, Bani Asad, Bam Abdullah bin Ghatafan, and Bani Amir bin Sasa?" A man said, "They were unsuccessful and losers." The Prophet added, "Yes, they are better than the tribes of Bani Tamim, Bani Asad, Bani Abdullah bin Ghatafan, and Bani Amir bin Sasa." Volume 4, Book 56, number 719, narrated by Abu Bakr al-Aqra bin Habis said to the Prophet, "Nobody gave you the pledge of allegiance but the robbers of the pilgrims, that is those who used to rob the pilgrims, from the tribes of Aslam, Gifar, Muzayna." Ibn Abi Yaqub is in doubt whether al-Aqra added, "and Juhayna." The Prophet said, "Don't you think that the tribes of Aslam, Gifar, Muzayna, and also perhaps Juhayna are better than the tribes of Bani Tamim, Bani Amir, Asad and Ghatafan?" Somebody said, "They were unsuccessful and losers." The Prophet said, "Yes, by him in whose hands my life is, they, that is the former, are better than they, that is the latter." Abu Huraira said, the Prophet said, "The people of Bani Aslam, Gifar and some people of Muzayna, or some people of Juhayna or Muzayna, are better in Allah's sight, or on the day of resurrection, than the tribes of Asad, Tamim, Hawazin and Ghatafan." Volume 4, Book 56, number 720, narrated by Jabir. We were in the company of the Prophet in a Ghazwa. A large number of emigrants joined him, and among the emigrants there was a person who used to play jokes, or play with spears. So he, jokingly, stroked an Ansari man on the hip. The Ansari got so angry that both of them called their people. The Ansari said, "Help, O Ansar!" And the emigrant said, "Help, O emigrants!" The Prophet came out and said, "What is wrong with the people as they are calling this call of the period of ignorance?" Then he said, "What is the matter with them?" So he was told about the stroke of the emigrant to the Ansari. The Prophet said, "Stop this, that is appeal for help, for it is an evil call." Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, a hypocrite, said, "The emigrants have called and gathered against us, so when we return to Medina surely the more honorable people will expel there from the meaner." Upon that Umar said, "O Allah's Prophet, shall we not kill this evil person, that is Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul?" The Prophet said no, lest the people should say that Muhammad used to kill his companions. Volume 4, Book 56, number 721, narrated by Abdullah bin Mas'ud. The Prophet said, "Whoever slaps his face or tears the bosom of his dress or calls the calls of the period of ignorance is not from us." Volume 4, Book 56, number 722, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, "Amr bin Luhai bin Kam'a bin Kindif was the father of Kuza'ah." Volume 4, Book 56, number 723, narrated by Sa'id bin al-Musayyab al-Bahira, was an animal whose milk was spared for the idols and other deities, and so nobody was allowed to milk it. As Saiba was an animal which they, the infidels, used to set free in the names of their gods, so that it would not be used for carrying anything. Abu Huraira said, the Prophet said, "I saw Amr bin Amir bin Luhai al-Khuzai dragging his intestines in the hell fire, for he was the first man who started the custom of releasing animals, for the sake of false gods." Volume 4, Book 56, number 724, narrated by Ibn Abbas. When the news of the advent of the Prophet reached Abu Dar, he said to his brother, "Ride to this valley, and bring me the news of this man, that is the Prophet, who claims to be a prophet receiving information from the heaven. Listen to him and then come to me." His brother set out till he met the Prophet and listened to his speech and returned to Abu Dar and said to him, "I have seen him exhorting people to virtues and his speech was not like poetry." Abu Dar said, "You have not satisfied me as to what I wanted." So he took his journey food and a waterskin full of water and set out till he reached Mecca, where he went to the mosque looking for the Prophet whom he did not know, and he would not like to ask someone about him. So, a portion of the night had passed when Ali saw him and realized that he was a stranger. Abu Dar followed him to his house. But neither of them asked the other about anything till it was morning, when he carried his water skin and food and went to the mosque. He spent that day without being observed by the Prophet till it was night, when he returned to his sleeping place. Ali again passed by him and said, "Hasn't the man, that is Abu Dar, recognized his dwelling place yet?" So, Ali let him get up and took him to his house. But neither of them asked the other about anything till it was the third day, when Ali had the same experience with him, and Abu Dar again stayed with him. Ali then asked, "Won't you tell me what has brought you here?" He replied, "If you give me a promise and a convention that you will guide me, then I will tell you." When Ali did, Abu Dar informed him of his purpose. Ali said, "It is the truth, and he, that is Muhammad, is the apostle of Allah. So when the morning comes, follow me, and if I should perceive any danger threatening you, I will give you a hint by pretending to go to the water closet. But if I carried on walking, follow me till you enter the place that I will enter." Abu Dur agreed, and followed Ali till he entered the place of the Prophet, and Abu Dur entered with him. He then listened to the speech of the Prophet and embraced Islam on that very spot. The Prophet said to him, "Go back to your people and inform them of this religion till you receive my further orders." Abu Dur said, "By him in whose hands my life is, I will proclaim my conversion to Islam publicly amongst them, that is infidels." He went out till he reached the mosque and announced as loudly as possible, "I testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad is the apostle of Allah." The people then got up and beat him till they knocked him down. Al-Abbas came and threw himself over him, to protect him, saying, "Woe to you! Don't you know that he is from Ghifar, and there is the road to your merchants towards Sham, that is through the place where this tribe dwells?" Thus, he saved him from them. Abu Dar did the same on the next day, and the people beat him again, and Al-Abbas drew himself over him to save him as before. Volume 4, Book 56, number 725, narrated by Abu Jamra ibn Abbas said to us, "Shall I tell you the story of Abu Dar's conversion to Islam?" We said, "Yes." He said, Abu Dar said, "I was a man from the tribe of Ghifar. We heard that a man had appeared in Mecca, claiming to be a prophet. Said to my brother, 'Go to that man and talk to him and bring me his news.' He set out, met him and returned. I asked him, 'What is the news with you?' He said, 'By Allah, I saw a man enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil.' I said to him, 'You have not satisfied me with this little information.' So I took a waterskin and a stick and proceeded towards Mecca. Neither did I know him, that is the Prophet, nor did I like to ask anyone about him. I kept on drinking Zam-Zam water and staying in the mosque. Then Ali passed by me and said, 'It seems you are a stranger?' I said, 'Yes.' He proceeded to his house and I accompanied him. Neither did he ask me anything, nor did I tell him anything. Next morning I went to the mosque to ask about the Prophet, but no one told me anything about him. Ali passed by me again and asked, 'Hasn't the man recognized his dwelling place yet?' I said, 'No.' He said, 'Come along with me.' He asked me, 'What is your business? What has brought you to this town?' I said to him, 'If you keep my secret, I will tell you.' He said, 'I will do.' I said to him, 'We have heard that a person has appeared here, claiming to be a prophet.' I sent my brother to speak to him, and when he returned, he did not bring a satisfactory report. So I thought of meeting him personally. Ali said to Abu Dar, 'You have reached your goal. I am going to him just now, so follow me, and wherever I enter, enter after me. If I should see someone who may cause you trouble, I will stand near a wall pretending to mend my shoes, as a warning, and you should go away then.' Ali proceeded, and I accompanied him till he entered a place, and I entered with him to the Prophet to whom I said, 'Present the principles of Islam to me.' When he did, I embraced Islam immediately. He said to me, 'O Abu Dar, keep your conversion as a secret and return to your town, and when you hear of our victory, return to us.' I said, 'By him who has sent you with the truth, I will announce my conversion to Islam publicly amongst them, that is the infidels.' Abu Dar went to the mosque, where some people from Quraysh were present, and said, 'O folk of Quraysh, I testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and I, also, testify that Muhammad is Allah's slave and his apostle.' Hearing that, the Qurayshi men said, 'Get at this Sabi, Muslim.' They got up and beat me nearly to death. Al-Abbas saw me and threw himself over me to protect me. He then faced them and said, 'Woe to you! You want to kill a man from the tribe of Ghifar, although your trade and your communications are through the territory of Ghifar?' They therefore left me. The next morning I returned to the mosque and said the same as I have said on the previous day. They again said, 'Get at this Sabi.' I was treated in the same way as on the previous day, and again Al-Abbas found me and threw himself over me to protect me, and told them the same as he had said the day before. So that was the conversion of Abu Dar, may Allah be merciful to him, to Islam. Volume 4, Book 56, number 726, narrated by Ibn Abbas. If you wish to know about the ignorance of the Arabs, refer to Surat Al-An'am after verse num 130. Indeed lost are those who have killed their children from folly without knowledge, and have forbidden that which Allah has provided for them, inventing a lie against Allah. They have indeed gone astray and were not guided. 6.14. Volume 4, Book 56, number 727, narrated by Ibn Abbas, when the verse, "and warn your tribe of near kindred." 26.214 was revealed, the Prophet started calling the Arab tribes, O Bani Fir, O Bani Adi, mentioning first the various branch tribes of Quraysh. Narrated Ibn Abbas, when the verse, "and warn your tribe of near kindred," 26.214, was revealed, the Prophet started calling every tribe by its name. Volume 4, Book 56, number 728, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, O Bani Abd Munaf, buy yourselves from Allah. O Bani Abdul Muttalib, buy yourselves from Allah. O mother of Az-Zubair bin al-Awwam, the aunt of Allah's apostle, and O Fatima bint Muhammad, buy yourselves from Allah, for I cannot defend you before Allah. You both can ask me for my property as much as you like. Volume 4, Book 56, number 729, narrated by Anas. The Prophet sent for the Ansar, and when they came, he asked, Is there any stranger amongst you? They said, No, except the son of our sister. Allah's apostle said, The son of the sister of some people belongs to them. Volume 4, Book 56, number 730, narrated by Aisha, that during the Mina days, Abu Bakr came to her, while there were two girls with her, beating drums, and the Prophet was lying, covering himself with his garment. Abu Bakr rebuked the two girls, but the Prophet uncovered his face and said, O Abu Bakr, leave them, for these are the days of Eid festival. Those days were the days of Mina. Aisha added, I was being screened by the Prophet while I was watching the Ethiopians playing in the mosque. Umar rebuked them, but the Prophet said, Leave them, O Bani Arfida, play, for you are safe. Volume 4, Book 56, number 731, narrated by Aisha. Once Hassan bin Thabit asked the permission of the Prophet to lampoon, that is, compose satirical poetry defaming the infidels. The Prophet said, What about the fact that I have common descent with them? Hassan replied, I shall take you out of them, as a hair is taken out of dough. Narrated Urwa, I started abusing Hassan in front of Aisha, whereupon she said, Don't abuse him, for he used to defend the Prophet with his poetry. Volume 4, Book 56, number 732, narrated by Jubair bin Mut'im. Allah's apostle said, I have 5 names. I am Muhammad and Ahmad. I am Al-Mahi, through whom Allah will eliminate infidelity. I am Al-Hashir, who will be the first to be resurrected, the people being resurrected thereafter. And I am also Al-Aqib, that is, there will be no prophet after me. Volume 4, Book 56, number 733, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, Doesn't it astonish you how Allah protects me from the Quraish's abusing and cursing? They abuse Mudamam and curse Mudamam while I am Muhammad and not Mudhamam. Volume 4, Book 56, number 734, narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. The Prophet said, My similitude in comparison with the other prophets is that of a man who has built a house completely and excellently, except for a place of 1 brick. When the people enter the house, they admire its beauty and say, But for the place of this brick, how splendid the house will be. Volume 4, Book 56, number 735, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, My similitude in comparison with the other prophets before me is that of a man who has built a house nicely and beautifully, except for a place of 1 brick in a corner. The people go about it and wonder at its beauty but say, Would that this brick be put in its place? So I am that brick, and I am the last of the prophets. Volume 4, Book 56, number 736, narrated by Aisha. The Prophet died when he was 63 years old. Volume 4, Book 56, number 737, narrated by Anas. While the Prophet was in the market, a man called somebody, O Abu al-Qasim. The Prophet turned to him and said, Name yourselves after me, but do not call yourselves by my kunya. Volume 4, Book 56, number 738, narrated by Jabir. The Prophet said, Name yourselves after me, but do not call yourselves by my kunya. Volume 4, Book 56, number 739, narrated by Abu Huraira. Abu al-Qasim said, Name yourselves after me, but do not call yourselves by my kunya. Volume 4, Book 56, number 740, narrated by Al-Ju'aid bin Abdur Rahman. I saw As-Saib bin Yazid when he was 94 years old, quite strong and of straight figure. He said, I know that I enjoyed my hearing and seeing powers only because of the invocation of Allah's apostle. My aunt took me to him and said, O Allah's apostle, my nephew is sick, will you invoke Allah for him? So he invoked Allah for me. Volume 4, Book 56, number 741, narrated by As-Scab bin Yazid. My aunt took me to Allah's apostle and said, "O Allah's apostle, my nephew is sick." The Prophet passed his hands over my head and blessed me. Then he performed ablution and I drank the remaining water, and standing behind him, I saw the seal in between his shoulders. Volume 4, Book 56, number 742, narrated by Uqba bin al-Harith. Once, Abu Bakr offered the Asr prayer and then went out walking and saw Al-Hasan playing with the boys. He lifted him onto his shoulders and said, "Let my parents be sacrificed for your sake. You resemble the Prophet and not Ali," while Ali was smiling. Volume 4, Book 56, number 743, narrated by Abu Juhayfa. I saw the Prophet and Al-Hasan resembled him. Volume 4, Book 56, number 744, narrated by Ismail bin Abi Khalid. I heard Abi Juhayfa saying, "I saw the Prophet and Al-Hasan bin Ali resembled him." I said to Abu Juhayfa, "Describe him for me." He said, "He was white and his beard was black with some white hair. He promised to give us 13 young she-camels, but he expired before we could get them." Volume 4, Book 56, number 745, narrated by Wab Abu Juhayfa as-Sawai. I saw the Prophet and saw some white hair below his lower lip above the chin. Volume 4, Book 56, number 746, narrated by Hariz bin Uthman, that he asked Abdullah bin Busr, that is the companion of the Prophet, "Did you see the Prophet when he was old?" He said, "He had a few white hairs between the lower lip and the chin." Volume 4, Book 56, number 747, narrated by Rabia bin Abi Abdurrahman. I heard Anas bin Malik describing the Prophet saying, "He was of medium height amongst the people, neither tall nor short, he had a rosy color, neither absolutely white nor deep brown. His hair was neither completely curly nor quite lank. Divine inspiration was revealed to him when he was 40 years old. He stayed 10 years in Mecca, receiving the divine inspiration, and stayed in Medina for 10 more years. When he expired, he had scarcely 20 white hairs in his head and beard." Rabia said, "I saw some of his hairs, and it was red. When I asked about that, I was told that it turned red because of scent." Volume 4, Book 56, number 748, narrated by Anas. Allah's apostle was neither very tall nor short, neither absolutely white nor deep brown. His hair was neither curly nor lank. Allah sent him as an apostle when he was 40 years old. Afterwards he resided in Mecca for 10 years and in Medina for 10 more years. When Allah took him unto him, there was scarcely 20 white hairs in his head and beard. Volume 4, Book 56, number 749, narrated by Al-Bara. Allah's apostle was the handsomest of all the people, and had the best appearance. He was neither very tall nor short. Volume 4, Book 56, number 750, narrated by Qatada. I asked Anas, "Did the Prophet use to dye his hair?" He said no, for there were only a few white hairs on his temples. Volume 4, Book 56, number 751, narrated by Al-Bara. The Prophet was of moderate height, having broad shoulders, long hair reaching his earlobes. Once I saw him in a red cloak, and I had never seen a more handsome than him. Volume 4, Book 56, number 752, narrated by Abu Ishaq al-Bara, was asked, "Was the face of the Prophet as bright as a sword?" He said no, but as bright as a moon. Volume 4, Book 56, number 753, narrated by Abu Juhayfa. Once Allah's apostle went to Al-Batha at noon, performed the ablution and offered a 2-rakat Zuhr prayer and a 2-rakat Asr prayer while a spear-headed stick was planted before him and the passers-by were passing in front of it. After the prayer, the people got up and held the hands of the Prophet and passed them on their faces. I also took his hand and kept it on my face, and noticed that it was colder than ice and its smell was nicer than musk. Volume 4, Book 56, number 754, narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was the most generous of all the people, and he used to become more generous in Ramadan when Gabriel met him. Gabriel used to meet him every night during Ramadan to revise the Quran with him. Allah's apostle then used to be more generous than the fast wind. Volume 4, Book 56, number 755, narrated by Aisha, that Allah's apostle came to her in a happy mood with his features glittering with joy, and said, "Have you not heard what the Caliph has said about Zaid and Usama?" He saw their feet and remarked, "These belong to each other. That is, they are father and son." Volume 4, Book 56, number 756, narrated by Abdullah bin Ka'b. I heard Ka'b bin Malik talking after his failure to join the Ghazwa of Tabuk. He said, "When I greeted Allah's apostle whose face was glittering with happiness, for whenever Allah's apostle was happy his face used to glitter, as if it was a piece of the moon and we used to recognize it, that is his happiness, from his face." Volume 4, Book 56, number 757, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle said, "I have been sent as an apostle in the best of all the generations of Adam's offspring since their creation." Volume 4, Book 56, number 758, narrated by Ibn Abbas. Allah's apostle used to let his hair hang down while the infidels used to part their hair. The people of the scriptures were used to letting their hair hang down, and Allah's apostle liked to follow the people of the scriptures in the matters about which he was not instructed otherwise. Then Allah's apostle parted his hair. Volume 4, Book 56, number 759. Narrated by Abdullah bin Amr, the Prophet never used bad language, neither a fahish nor a mutafahish. He used to say, "The best amongst you are those who have the best manners and character." See Hadith No. 56, B, Volume 8, Volume 4, Book 56, number 760, narrated by Aisha. Whenever Allah's apostle was given the choice of one of two matters, he would choose the easier of the two as long as it was not sinful to do so, but if it was sinful to do so, he would not approach it. Allah's apostle never took revenge over anybody, for his own sake, but he did only when Allah's legal bindings were outraged, in which case he would take revenge for Allah's sake. Volume 4, Book 56, number 761, narrated by Anas. I have never touched silk or dibaj, that is thick silk, softer than the palm of the Prophet, nor have I smelt a perfume nicer than the sweat of the Prophet. Volume 4, Book 56, number 762, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet was sheer than a veined virgin girl. Volume 4, Book 56, number 763, narrated by Shuba, a similar hadith, i.e., note 762, with this addition. And if he, that is the Prophet, disliked something, the sign of aversion would appear on his face. Volume 4, Book 56, number 764, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet never criticized any food presented him, but he would eat it if he liked it. Otherwise, he would leave it without expressing his dislike. Narrated by Abdullah bin Malik bin Buhaina al-Azdi. When the Prophet prostrated, he used to keep his arms so widely apart that we used to see his armpits. The sub-narrator Ibn Bukair said, the whiteness of his armpits. Volume 4, Book 56, number 766. Narrated by Anas. Allah's apostle did not use to raise his hands in his invocations except in the istisqa, that is invoking Allah for the rain, in which he used to raise his hands so high that one could see the whiteness of his armpits. Note, it may be that Anas did not see the Prophet as raising his hands, but it has been narrated that the Prophet as used to raise his hands for invocations other than istisqa. See Hadith No. 612 Vol. 5, and Hadith No. 807 and 808 Vol. 2, Volume 4, Book 56, number 767, narrated by Abu Juhayfa. By chance I went to the Prophet at noon while he was at Al-Abta, resting in a tent. Bilal came out of the tent and pronounced the adhan for the prayer, and entering again, he brought out the water which was left after Allah's apostle had performed the ablution. The people rushed to take some of the water. Bilal again went in and brought out a spear-headed stick, and then Allah's apostle came out, as if I were now looking at the whiteness of his leg. Bilal fixed the stick, and the Prophet offered a 2-rakat Zuhr prayer and a 2-rakat Nasr prayer, while women and donkeys were passing in front of the Prophet, beyond the stick. Volume 4, Book 56, number 768, narrated by Aisha. The Prophet used to talk so clearly that if somebody wanted to count the number of his words, he could do so. Narrated Urwa bin Az-Zubair. Aisha said to me, "Don't you wonder at Abu so-and-so who came and sat by my dwelling and started relating the traditions of Allah's apostle, intending to let me hear that, while I was performing an optional prayer. He left before I finished my optional prayer. Had I found him still there, I would have said to him, Allah's apostle never talks so quickly and vaguely as you do." Volume 4, Book 56, number 769, narrated by Abu Salama bin Abdur Rahman, that he asked Aisha, how was the prayer of Allah's apostle in the month of Ramadan? She replied, he used not to pray more than 11 rakat whether in Ramadan or in any other month. He used to offer 4 rakat, let alone their beauty and length, and then 4 rakat, let alone their beauty and length. Afterwards, he would offer 3 rakat. I said, "O Allah's apostle, do you go to bed before offering the witr prayer?" He said, "My eyes sleep, but my heart does not sleep." Volume 4, Book 56, number 770, narrated by Sharik bin Abdullah bin Abi Namr. I heard Anas bin Malik telling us about the night when the Prophet was made to travel from the Kaaba mosque. 3 persons, that is angels, came to the Prophet before he was divinely inspired was an apostle, while he was sleeping in Al-Masjid ul-Haram. The first of the 3 angels said, "Which of them is he?" The second said, "He is the best of them." That was all that happened then, and he did not see them till they came at another night, and he perceived their presence with his heart. For the eyes of the Prophet were closed when he was asleep, but his heart was not asleep, not unconscious. This is characteristic of all the prophets. Their eyes sleep, but their hearts do not sleep. Then Gabriel took charge of the Prophet and ascended along with him to the heaven. Volume 4, Book 56, number 771, narrated by Imran bin Hussein. That they were with the Prophet on a journey. They traveled the whole night, and when dawn approached they took a rest, and sleep overwhelmed them till the sun rose high in the sky. The first to get up was Abu Bakr. Allah's apostles used not to be awakened from his sleep, but he would wake up by himself. Umar woke up, and then Abu Bakr sat by the side of the Prophet's head and started saying, Allahu Akbar, raising his voice till the Prophet woke up, and after traveling for a while, he dismounted and led us in the morning prayer. A man amongst the people failed to join us in the prayer. When the Prophet had finished the prayer, he asked the man, "O so-and-so, what prevented you from offering the prayer with us?" He replied, "I am Junub." Allah's apostle ordered him to perform tayammum with clean earth. The man then offered the prayer. Allah's apostle ordered me and a few others to go ahead of him. We had become very thirsty. While we were on our way, looking for water, we came across a lady, riding an animal, hanging her legs between two water skins. We asked her, "Where can we get water?" She replied, "Oh, there is no water." We asked, "How far is your house from the water?" She replied, "A distance of a day and a night travel." We said, "Come on to Allah's apostle." She asked, "What is Allah's apostle?" So we brought her to Allah's apostle against her will, and she told him what she had told us before, and added that she was the mother of orphans. So the Prophet ordered that her 2 water skins be brought, and he rubbed the mouths of the water skins. As we were thirsty, we drank till we quenched our thirst, and we were 40 men. We also filled all our water skins and other utensils with water, but we did not water the camels. The water skin was so full that it was almost about to burst. The Prophet then said, "Bring what foodstuff you have." So some dates and pieces of bread were collected for the lady, and when she went to her people she said, "I have met either the greatest magician or a prophet as the people claim." So Allah guided the people of that village through that lady. She embraced Islam and they all embraced Islam. Volume 4, Book 56, number 772, narrated by Anas. A bowl of water was brought to the Prophet while he was at Az-Zahra. He placed his hand in it and the water started flowing among his fingers. All the people performed ablution with that water. Qatada asked Anas, "How many people were you?" Anas replied, 300 or nearly 300. Volume 4, Book 56, number 773, narrated by Anas bin Malik. I saw Allah's apostle at the time when the Asr prayer was due. Then the people were searching for water for ablution, but they could not find any. Then some water was brought to Allah's apostle and he placed his hand in the pot and ordered the people to perform the ablution with the water. I saw water flowing from underneath his fingers and the people started performing the ablution till all of them did it. Volume 4, Book 56, number 774, narrated by Anas bin Malik. The Prophet went out on one of his journeys with some of his companions. They went on walking till the time of the prayer became due. They could not find water to perform the ablution. One of them went away and brought a little amount of water in a pot. The Prophet took it and performed the ablution, and then stretched his 4 fingers onto the pot and said to the people, "Get up to perform the ablution." They started performing the ablution till all of them did it, and they were 70 or so persons. Volume 4, Book 56, number 775. Narrated by Humayd. Anas bin Malik said, "Once the time of the prayer became due, and the people whose houses were close to the mosque went to their houses to perform ablution, while the others remained sitting there. A stone pot containing water was brought to the Prophet who wanted to put his hand in it, but it was too small for him to spread his hand in it, and so he had to bring his fingers together before putting his hand in the pot. Then all the people performed the ablution with that water. I asked Anas, how many persons were they? He replied, there were 80 men. Volume 4, Book 56, number 776, narrated by Salim bin Abi Ajjad. Jabir bin Abdullah said, the people became very thirsty on the day of Al-Hudaybiyah treaty. A small pot containing some water was in front of the Prophet, and when he had finished the ablution, the people rushed towards him. He asked, "What is wrong with you?" They replied, "We have no water either for performing ablution, or for drinking except what is present in front of you." So he placed his hand in that pot, and the water started flowing among his fingers like springs. We all drank and performed ablution from it. I asked Jabir, "How many were you?" He replied, "Even if we had been 100,000, it would have been sufficient for us, but we were 1,500. Volume 4, Book 56, number 777, narrated by Al-Bara. We were 1,400 persons on the day of Al-Hudaybiyah treaty, and at Al-Hudaybiyah, there was a well. We drew out its water, not leaving even a single drop. The Prophet sat at the edge of the well and asked for some water with which he rinsed his mouth, and then he threw it out into the well. We stayed for a short while and then drew water from the well and quenched our thirst, and even our riding animals drank water to their satisfaction. It's like a guidebook for living a meaningful life. From showing kindness to others to maintaining honesty, the Sunnah offers timeless wisdom. Following the Sunnah means embracing habits that nurture both the heart and the mind. It's about spreading peace, love, and understanding in our communities. And let's not forget, it brings us closer to our faith. By living the Sunnah, we're not just following traditions, we're unlocking profound life lessons. So why not take a step today and discover the beauty of the Sunnah? Your journey to wisdom starts now.